Hello my loyal companions and welcome back to another installment of Rogue Revealed, the series where I break down the new game Rogue Company and all the elements you might want to know, such as characters, maps, weapons and so much more. In today's episode I'm going to be going over a character guide for Dima. As always in these character breakdowns, I'm going to go over their role within the game, go over their weapons, abilities and perks, then go over the different upgrade paths you could go with them, before finally giving you some tips about how best to play them. Dima's role within the game is to always be in the front line of a shootout with your team, adding a bit of chaos to the mix. His weapons are really consistent at all ranges, and his abilities allow you to break open a fight and find an opening for your team to push in. Whether you play him on attack or defense doesn't really matter because it's all about how you utilize him and utilize his abilities. You can use him to flush out enemies or you can use him to hold and safeguard a position. And the way he does this is with his weapons and abilities, which I'm going to go over now for you. So looking at Dima, he is most known for his explosive personality and liberal use of explosives. As you'll see, and you see it in the image here, he likes his grenades. His passive is burned. Enemies you are down are revealed to your team for a short duration, meaning when you down someone they will be revealed like in the normal reveal mechanic. His main ability is the MIRV launcher, which is a devastating cluster grenade launcher which fires one bullet when activated. This fires the grenade into a position and then breaks up into a bunch of different grenades, similar to a normal cluster grenade if you played them from a different game. This is what really allows him to make that disruption within a team fight. Going into his primary weapons, you as always have two choices. You can either choose the KA-30. This is a very versatile assault rifle and can be used really at close range if you're hip firing, medium range or long range if you're able to hit your shots. As you upgrade it, you increase its magazine size from base 30 to now 40. Then the next upgrade increases hip fire accuracy before the last upgrade, which increases its damage range. His other primary weapon is the Mamba, which is a deadly burst fire assault rifle. It's a 3-round burst weapon with a base magazine size of 30. As you upgrade this weapon, you increase its magazine size first, giving you an extra 12 shots up to 42. You then reduce its recoil and increased accuracy, and then increase its damage range. His pistol is the Executioner, which is a well-rounded semi-assault pistol. Not my personal favourite, but as you build it, you increase its magazine size and it increases hip fire accuracy and reduces recoil. His melee weapon is the Throwing Axe, which is a fearsome throwing weapon. As you upgrade it, it increases its throw speed and its throw damage. His two gadgets are an EMP grenade, which damages equipment and prevents targets from using their abilities and gadgets for a duration. This can be really useful to disrupt a team fight, particularly when you know someone's about to use an ability. His second gadget is a grenade, which explodes after a short fuse and can be cooked, meaning you can hold it in your hand and start the detonation period there before throwing it, so it explodes a little bit quicker from landing. As you upgrade it, you increase its explosion radius and its damage is increased to 125. Kicking off his perks is Shredder Rounds, which deals more damage to equipment and means you can carry more ammunition. His next one is Berserker, which gains the ability to reload while sprinting. His next one is Nimble Hands, which increases the weapon swap and reload speed. Then you have Bounce Back, which reduces your health regeneration delay. And his two remaining perks are Replenish, which when downing enemy reloads your currently equipped weapon and restores its ammunition, and Life Drain, which when downing enemy heals for a significant amount over a short duration. My personal preference with these weapons is to take the KA-30 as its main primary weapon. I don't tend to upgrade the Executioner nor use the melee weapon. Depending on the EMP grenade or the normal grenade, it sort of depends. Both are viable depending on the circumstances. And my favourite perks in order for Dima tend to be starting with Life Drain, then probably Bounce Back, then Nimble Hands, then Replenish, then I would do Berserker before finally ending with Shredder Rounds. When it comes to upgrading Dima, I tend to go for a fairly set standard across my build with him. Firstly, I don't upgrade the pistol. The Executioner, personally, I don't find it to be particularly useful as you upgrade it, whereas something, say, the Spitfire is really useful when you upgrade it. The Executioner just isn't there for me. If I hit my shots, it's great, it does good damage, but it's not really worth the upgrade path. I would rather save the 4,000 for some of the later rounds. In terms of the two primary weapons, on round 2 I would use the banked money to buy them and then get one upgrade for them. You should then, as the rounds progress, focus on upgrading your weapon as soon as possible. Both of them really benefit from having their max upgrades. Some weapons you don't always need to, you can just get 1 or 2, but for these weapons I think they benefit most of getting all of the upgrades. If you do get a spare 4,000 at any point, I would recommend delving into one of the gadgets, depending on what suits your playstyle. The EMP grenade can be really useful for more team orientated. The grenade can be a bit more useful if you're trying to thirst it down or just flush out an enemy position. Once you've fully upgraded your guns, that's when I would start looking at perks. Basically spend whatever money you can on them. I wouldn't recommend at any point saving rounds for them buying the higher tier perks. Try and frag out on whatever rounds you can, earn as much money as possible and buy the equivalent upgrade for that. If you have 10,000, buy a life drain. If you only have 7,000 or so, buy bounce back. There's not too much complication when it comes to upgrading Dima. His role, whether attack or defense, no matter what the comp, is generally the same throughout. He's a fairly consistent character that way. He's not versatile like Dallas, who can be played in multiple different ways. Dima is there to stand in the middle of a fight and really cause some chaos. And what you need to do is build him accordingly to that for however fits your playstyle. For me, that involves upgrading the guns, then getting gadget, then getting perks, but it might be something different for you, that would be my recommendation. Now going to tips for Dima, my first one is going to be about using his main ability, and it's going to be to make sure you're deciding when you're going to use it properly. Using the cluster grenade is really good at flushing out any position, getting people out of the way, or actually just dealing massive damage if you can use it properly, and you need to decide which one you're doing it for. If you're just trying to get someone out of a corner, then use it, although really, why not just use a grenade for this if you have it available? The cluster is there for massive damage more than anything, so you're trying to use it in really tight corners. Because you fire it, then it sort of explodes into a bunch of other grenades. It's really good in those close quarter combat areas. When I was first learning Dima, I can't tell you how many times I just threw out the ultimate in a kind of open space, didn't hit anything, and kind of wasted its maximum potential. What you should be looking for is to use it in the right circumstance. And that kind of feeds into tip number 2, which is actually just not be afraid to hold your ultimate, not to just use it. Your ultimate is a really powerful tool and shouldn't always just be used at the first instance that you think it might be viable. There may be other circumstances later on where it could be a bit more useful, so if you can find another way to get the kill or another way to do the same objective, then do it that way. For example, say you throw out your ultimate at the start of the round, you get a kill with it, but then you're left in a 3v1 scenario. Well, perhaps it would have been better to try and find a different angle on getting that kill and then saving your ultimate for the 3v1, where you could potentially down 1 or 2 people on the bomb site. Having a bit of patience goes a long way, and that is very true with Dima and his ultimate. My third tip for you is to actually try and get a gadget at some point. Dima is all about explosives, all about controlling the battlefield with detonation areas, and therefore getting a gadget is really useful, whether it be just a grenade or an EMP grenade. Both are really viable. My fourth tip for you is actually just to pick the weapon that is most comfortable for you. They are both very good assault rifles and DMRs, but you need to feel which one's best for you. Whereas with some characters, one weapon may be better than the other, or one may be better at least in a different circumstance than the other. With Dima, both his weapons are really viable. It kind of depends on your playstyle. You need to go in and have a little look with them and see which one works best for you. For me personally, the fully auto AR works best, but for you it might be the 3-round burst. I would definitely recommend the 3-round burst to someone who is a little bit more precise at longer ranges, because it is a little bit better at longer ranges, or for someone who tends to struggle with ammo management. Because it's a 3-round burst, it means you're only firing 3 shots at a time, and it has quite a big mag with 42 bullets. Both, however, achieve pretty much the same job, with the Mamba going a little bit further range-wise, and the KA-30 being a little bit closer and more consistent for those hip-fire close-quarter combats. It really depends for you what your favourite is, and also potentially the circumstance of the map as you get a bit better at the game. My final tip for you is to play around your team. Whilst Dima can be quite an effective flanker, if you can get behind the enemies, get your grenade launch in there, and really mess up the team fight, but he's actually best, in my experience, from using him in the team and allowing someone like a Shack or a Lancer or a Scorch to go do the flanking for you. He's there with really consistent guns to do a lot of damage to people who are poking their heads out in the wrong way, and flush up people with grenades, allowing an opportunity for your flankers to get in there. Hang back with the team, stick with your Saint, allow him to get the res off, and just cover the more high value targets with your team. For example, if you're a Phantom, having a Dima with you can be really useful, because it slows down the push of people trying to get to you while you're sniping, and also zone controls them so that they're funneled into one area for a Phantom to get some snipes off. He's a great team orientated rogue, not so much a solo fragger, although he can be used that way. It really just depends. Okay then guys, that is my guide for Dima. I hope you've been able to take something away from this, and if you have, I'd really appreciate it if you left a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. If you want to see live game commentaries from me though, you can come follow me on twitch.tv/raddargaming. Other than that guys, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will see you later. Bye.